Hello everyone, and welcome back to my HO scale layout. So, it has been quite a bit since I've given any sort of update on this, and for those who have been keeping up for a while now, you'd know that I have been sort of documenting my journey with, building a layout and starting modeling and collecting HO stuff. And today, I am starting this video here because this is a new chapter in that journey. So, this layout that you're looking at right now began 2.5 years ago in May of 2023. And November 2025 is here now. And yeah, so it's been pretty much exactly 2.5 years since I started this whole endeavor. And honestly, I'm really happy with it. This layout has served me extremely well. I really like it. It's gone through a ton of changes. I've made 2 or 3 updates on this layout specifically. And now, as you read the title, it is finally time to begin to take this down. So this is kind of like a last look at this layout and what it looks like in its, at least when I'm filming this, current form. So, I kind of started here with the station. We have 1 standard gauge loop and 1 narrow gauge loop. I also have some road that I made just out of like paper that I cut and painted together. Yeah, so station building here. There is an engine shed right there with a siding. We have the quarry loader, tunnel in the back there. Harold's got a helipad. There's a little warehouse here for the narrow gauge guys. Cranky's back here in the corner with some other cargo around him. And that's pretty much it, honestly. There's the ruined castle here. I mean, overall, nothing that crazy in terms of like destinations. But honestly, I think it fills out the table nicely. I think it looks pretty good. Still, like I said, I'm happy with it. But it is time to expand. And I want to just make a bigger layout. And I want to also move it. Because currently, the place that it's in, I don't like. I want to move it out into my garage. So this whole table is going to go. I don't know if you can tell on video very well, but this is just on 1 piece of plywood right here that I went and bought at a hardware store. It was super cheap. And it's just been sitting on these 2 bins that like that's it. And they're kind of like here in the middle. And so the problem here is that the wood has begun to bow over time. It's gotten sort of bent on this side here. It's like drooping down. And you don't really notice that until you realize like my engines are now struggling to climb because this is turned into a gradient basically. So Emily, especially, I think is the worst of it. Like, the engines that only have 1 or 2 drive wheels are not doing great, especially if they have, like, long trains. If they're running by themselves, it's fine. But, like, if they have, like, 10, 15 trucks behind them, some of them can't really make it up that. So, I do have to get an entirely new table, which, honestly, I'm kind of excited for, because, like I said, I wanted to make the layout bigger, and that's kind of the perfect opportunity to do so. But overall, yeah. Not to mention with this table, one thing I don't like is that I cheaped out on buying the grass mat. So as you can see, it just doesn't cover the entire table. I just painted it brown for some reason. I don't know why I did that. But yeah, there's just a bunch of brown spots here where there's no grass. I don't know why either, man. But yeah, so with the new table, I want to get something that actually has legs on it. So there's that, and then also I want to get new grass mats because this one's kind of old and dusty and the color is beginning to fade. Actually, a good example of that is if I move the helipad, you can see that there. Yeah, that's what the grass used to look like 2 years ago. So it's time for a new grass mat. It's time for a new table. It's time for a new place that this layout is going to go, and it's time for a new layout altogether. All right, guys, we are back. So it's been a couple days since that last clip I just filmed, and now here we are with the first new piece, or several pieces, of this new layout. So here is the Bachmann Thomas Saves Santa's Sleigh set. That is quite the mouthful of a set name, but here we are. So this I bought for so many reasons, but basically the entire reason this whole new layout kind of got the ball rolling is because my friend got this like a week ago, and I looked at this set and I thought about it and I was like, I really want that Christmas Thomas, and it also has a ton of track in here. So With this track, minus like a couple more things I had to order separately, this is almost everything I need for the layout plan, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, all that track's gonna go directly to the layout, and I get the Thomas here as well as his rolling stock. This is a fun set. Bachmann's been doing these Christmas sets since 2008, and that first one ran until 2012 when they replaced it in 2013. And then I think this one came out in like 2021, 2022, somewhere around there. So this one's a bit more recent, and I don't love how it only has 2 pieces of rolling stock because the other 2 Christmas sets both had 3. So it feels like a little bit of a cheat there, but honestly, I guess it's not that big of a deal since the Christmas stuff you're not really going to use that much anyway. But yeah, enough yapping. I'm going to go ahead and crack this thing open, and then we'll take a look at the full set. All right, we're back. So here is the full set put together. And now here's a quick look at the actual exclusive items. So first off, here is Christmas Thomas. I think this is great. It's just a stock standard Thomas though, with 2 little additions here. He's got a little cloth Santa hat, which I love. It reminds me of the season 1 and 2 Christmas party episodes. Don't know if that's intentional or not, but I still love it. And then we also here have the snowplow piece. This is a separate piece that's just screwed on right here beneath the buffer beam. And yeah, overall, it's pretty cool. I do wish he had snow detailing on him. I think that would have elevated this a lot. But as it is, I really like these 2 little additions here. We also have this 1 plank wagon here. It's got green planking on the inside there with some white planking on the outside and then a red chassis. And then here is the sleigh tooling cargo piece. This is cool. You know, I kind of wish it had a little bit more detail or something. But, you know, for what it is, it's pretty nice. It doesn't fit on the track like it would in the episode, so I kind of expected it to. I don't know why, or at least be like the same width as the track, but it is not. I guess that's probably because it fits in the cargo car better, so I'll give it a pass there for that. Either way, though, it does look cool. I like the colors. I like the detail overall. It just looks nice. I mean, you know, not anything super special, but again, you know, it's very festive feeling. And then finally, we have the brake van here. So this is pretty clearly just a repaint of Toad, or specifically just a Toad brake van, because you have the frames here, you know, where the face would be. So it's not just a faceless Toad, or I guess it kind of is, but it's got more detail in its place, which is kind of nice. But then we have Santa, or a little Santa figure in there. It's kind of hard to see if I can focus on it. There we go. I think that's better. But yeah, still pretty cool. And then we have a red chassis, once again, to match the cargo car there. And then a green body, as well as some icicles hanging from the roof, which is white, and I believe that's just meant to be like snow on the roof. Then we have the Santa's Naughty Nice lists on the side there. And it's actually printed on both sides, which I do appreciate quite a lot. And it's also got some extra gold detailing there on the railing there. So yeah, overall, you know, I think these are some pretty cool items. Again, not like the best quality stuff Bachmann's ever made, but for a Christmas set, I think it's fun. You know, pretty enjoyable stuff. Thomas is definitely my favorite, though. He's a highlight. The snowplow, like I said, is a great piece. And now let's go ahead and see these guys run real quick. Everything's on the track and coupled up, so here we go. So the next 2 days after that clip ended up being really hectic and busy, and I didn't have much time to stop what I was doing to film. But I still had the drive to keep progressing on the layout, and the next day I made this first proof of concept for the layout, and I was super happy with it. And from there, it was all about getting measurements and making sure everything would line up properly. The day after that, I went to my hardware store and picked out 2 large slabs of plywood. Now, I know I said I didn't want to use plywood again, but it was pretty much my only option for my budget that could afford me something of this size. So this time I decided to go with 2 separate tables, mainly so I could get them in my car. However, I figured it would be easier for portability in case I ever need to move it. The following day, I spent a ton of time on the table. I also got a large amount of posts to act as table legs, and this way I could properly support the plywood by having the weight distributed evenly on all 4 corners. I also added extra fifth legs in the very center of each to support everything in the middle. After all the legs were attached, I cut the grass mats to the right measurements and glued them down. From there, it was only a matter of placing all my track and scenery down in the right places. All right, chat, we're back. So it's been a few days since I last recorded anything, and I wanted to film a bit of me building and putting the table together. Things got in the way of that. I got really busy, and I physically did not have time to set up a camera before I even did this. So anyway, here's the layout currently. It's been, I think, 2 days since the last clip I filmed, but you may notice we have some friends here on the layout.
New friends for Thomas.
New friends for Thomas. And another friend of mine here is Jax Trains.
Hello.
Jax is a great buddy of mine. He has been helping me with the layout. He came over. He lives pretty close to me. We hang out pretty often, like what, once a month?
Yeah, pretty much.
Something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Jax is a Gauge 1 modeler, and I cannot shout out his stuff enough. It looks incredible. I love it. He brought Duck and Fergus for us, and they're just chilling, you know, as they do. So yeah, other than that, this is where the layout stands right now. Pretty much everything is done at this point. I just need some finishing touches. I also need to show off this beautiful model of Arthur made by Noah, the LBSC Thomas, and Jax brought him here just to run on the layout a bit. Looks absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I cannot fathom how good this stuff is. I couldn't do it. But yeah, anyway, the only things left now are just the center road here. I'm 3D printing these road pieces, and now I'm just waiting for the paint to dry, so that's gonna be done soon, hopefully. And other than that, it's just ballast left, because I put down the grass mat, the shrubbery, all of the destinations and scenery pieces are where I want them. So yeah, we're pretty much done. That's about it. So yeah, I will get back to you guys once the ballast is ready. And at that point, I'll do a full walkthrough of the layout and then stick around for the end for a running session. All right, we are finally back. And I'm glad to say that nearly 2 weeks after that last clip, the layout is finally done. So without further ado, let's go ahead and give the proper tour. So starting off here at Sodor Junction Station, this is one of the official Bachmann stations. We got Thomas here with Annie Clarabelle, and then he's next to Scarloey on the narrow gauge line. So starting off on Thomas's line, he's gonna go over the crossing right here, over to where Henry is standing. Henry is next to this large forest wooded area. And then on the other side of him, there's a signal box here, as well as Jeremy on his runway with the little airport tower in the back. Moving along the curve and onto the side of the table, we have Daisy crossing over this little orange bridge here. And then we finally move over to Emily, pulling her coaches around the back corner. Here is the water mill with a little bridge and a pond, a couple houses here. And then a bit further beyond, there is a windmill that actually spins. Then there is this long sort of open area stretch here at the back of the table where Gordon is pulling the express coaches. And I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier or not, but Knapford is going to go here eventually whenever the new Bachmann Knapford releases. That's just going to go across that stretch there. And then I also have a little bell tower over here. Moving along towards the back corner here, we go through the tunnel, and Spencer is here with some fences beside the tracks. Passing by a few more houses here, we've got Ari and Bert pulling some tankers. And then over here is Harold on his helipad, as well as the little airfield hut over there. And then finally, we have this little cherry forest area here. And then we got a little storage shed. You can see the wooden railway layout in the background. And then we have a little workman hut here. Moving over to Toby, and he is at the water tower right now, which is another brand new addition. And then Rebecca is over here resting in the shed at this little points section. Moving on over from here, we come up to Ryan. He's pulling some branch line coaches at the other line at this station. Then that is going to cross over the crossing once again over to Stanley, and Stanley's got a log flatbed. That is then going to come over to this points section here where Salty's shunting a flatbed. We have Bill and Ben pulling another new addition, the Christmas van, and they're in the docks siding right now. There's also a coal hopper here. We got some crates, some pipes, the little storage warehouse shed thing, and then of course Cranky is right here at the docks as well. We also have Edward on the actual continuing line. That's going to move over to where Mavis is with Diesel, and they're pulling some mineral trucks near this little quarry area. So if I go back over here, once again, you can see we have the little quarry hopper thing that's here, and then Rosie is pulling the funfair wagons. So as we go around this curve, once again, we pass by the airfield again, and here's Oliver and Toad with a goods train, and they're gonna finally come back over to where Thomas is under the pedestrian bridge at the station. Moving on to the other side, this little narrow gauge area of the station, Scarloi's here pulling 2 of his blue coaches. We have the actual station building over here. There's some people on the platform. As we move around the curve here, we're gonna go to this little signal gantry, and then that comes over to Rusty. He's at the little refueling depot. Passing by this warehouse here, there's a set of points which leads over to the quarry. Here's a little quarry halt for the narrow gauge engines. Peter Sam is pulling a train of slate trucks. There's also a siding over here. Moving back along to the other side of the loop, we have a little stone pedestrian bridge here that Rheneas is going under. Following the line some more, we come to the ruined castle with like a bunch of shrubbery and stuff around it just to make it look overgrown. And finally, that comes under the pedestrian bridge and back into the station. There's also, in my opinion, a much improved road section from last time. So if you remember, or I probably pointed out earlier in the video, but there were those little paper cutout things I made for the road. This time, I just 3D printed a bunch of pieces, and now there's actually a more proper looking system. So Birdie's here. There's a little ramp off here to the side of the station with some fences next to it. Sir Topham Hatt's car is over here, passing by a house and a little railroad crossing sign. There is a junction here that's going to lead into the center, and then over here another house. Moving back around the back side, there's not really a whole lot at this area. Then there is a little ramp off to the castle, and then coming back around to the station, Birdie's here. And in the center is just a little farming area. So Terrence is here with Farmer Trotter. You can see Farmer McCole with his dog chasing a sheep. There's some more farm animals. I guess the farmhand fell over there next to the garden shed. But we also have some hay bales stacked around and some rolls just kind of everywhere. There's some shrubbery, a stop sign here at the end of the road. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So one thing I really wanted to go for was way more scenery this time. So I have been very hard at work, or I guess my printer has been hard at work making these little buildings here. I love these. I just found them as free to use files. And if you see anything that piques your interest here and you also want to print it, just ask me in the comments and I'll send you the link. But yeah, I mean, most of these buildings here are 3D printed, like the workman hut and the storage shed over here, all of the houses, the signal box, Jeremy's runway and airport tower, the bridge, the water mill, those houses back there. So yeah, even the coal hopper right there, that's 3D printed as well. But yeah, I gotta say, I'm really happy with this layout. I wanted to decorate it with engines this time because I think that makes it feel way more alive. And just generally, I love the aesthetic of this one way more. I feel like it just feels more, I guess it's dense for sure, but I do like how it's packed and it actually feels more lived in, if that makes sense. This feels like a much better actual diorama to me versus just what I had before where it was a loop of track and some destinations thrown on. So I guess you could call that this too, but again, I just feel like this one feels a lot more like a proper model railway. But yeah, I mean, I'm still an amateur with everything, and you know, this isn't like meant to be perfectly realistic or anything. I just thought I think it's a good display for my Bachmann engines, and I can't wait to show you guys some running footage. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and cut to that. Hope you guys enjoy. All right, I hope you all enjoyed that. So this has been an incredibly long video, and just as a little thank you guys for finishing the entire thing, or at least watching till the end, here I have a little surprise for you. This is a teaser for my next video, because look what arrived while I'm editing this video. There he is. Sir Handel has finally landed. I'm really excited for this. My next video will be a full review on him, so I'm looking forward to making that, and I will see you all hopefully very soon with that. So once again, thank you all so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Max Monty 1516 signing out.